Hi, I'm Regular Zach, and this is my limited set review for the Magic the Gathering Final Fantasy set. We are going to be talking about the cards only in the context to limited, which is draft and sealed formats, not talking about Commander, not talking about Standard, nothing constructed, only draft and sealed. Today we're talking about all the blue cards, and we're going to be putting all of them onto a rating scale from A to F. So A's are bombs. These are some of your best cards, the ones you hope to open in packs. And your favorite cards that win you the most games is how it feels. Your B's are like pretty great cards. These are ones that actively pull you into that color. These are cards that you hope to find, like if pick 5 or something, and it feels like that color's open, and so it pulls you into it. C's are the majority of your deck. Those are cards that are all solid. They're good. You're happy to be playing them, but they're just kind of the bread and butter cards that are just there. D's you really hope to never have to play. They're really bad, and you would just, if your deck has some D's, it kind of sucks, but sometimes you have to play them. And then F's are horrible. These are cards that you should under no circumstances put in your deck ever. They aren't really good for they're not good for limited. They're more of constructed cards or things that are for other formats. So just please never play F's. All right, we're starting off with Magic Damper, which is a single blue for an instant at common. It says target creature you control gets +1/+1 and gains hexproof until end of turn. Untap it. Sweet. We've seen a bunch of variants of this type of card, and I think they're all pretty good. It is great to have it in the format because it makes your opponents worry about you holding up any blue mana at all. Being a single blue is exactly where you want this to be. I have a very soft spot for cards like this, so I love things that give my creatures hexproof. I think of them kind of as cards that this is a counter spell for your opponent's removal specifically. So it just kind of counters that. Using it as like a ambush trick if your opponent's attacking you and you untap your creature to block it, you can do, but it's very, very dicey. Oftentimes that does not go the way that you would hope because your opponent probably has open mana. So really you want to just be countering your opponent's removal spells that target your creature. So I give this like a C+. I'm happy to play at least one of these. Multiples, it gets a little dicey, but the first one I'm really happy with. C+. Next up, we have Syncopate. This is a reprint. It is X and a blue for an instant at common. It says counter target spell unless the controller pays X. If that spell is countered this way, exile it instead of putting it to its owner's graveyard. So this is an interesting card because it's a counter spell, but you have to spend a lot of mana to counter things every once in a while. Like, I do prefer the counter spells that are like 1 and a blue, and your opponent, the quench things. Your opponent has to pay 2 mana or it's countered. And this does scale, but you have to spend 3 mana for this to do the exact same thing. So that is kind of frustrating to me. It does exile it, which is nice. There is like flashback cards in the set that will, it will matter to be able to keep things out of your opponent's graveyard. With all that being said, though, Syncopate is fine, and I'm not obsessed with it. The 2 mana, kind of whatever that one's called, where Force Spike, your opponent has to pay 1. It's okay. Syncopate will get you every once in a while, but I don't love having them in my deck. I'm just going to say this is like a C-. It's like totally playable, but I'm not super excited. Next up, we have Sahagin, 1 and a blue for a 1/3 creature, Merfolk Warrior at common. It says whenever you cast a non-creature spell, if at least 4 mana was spent to cast it, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature, and it can't be blocked this turn. Sure, a 2 mana 1/3. The non-creature spells with mana value 4 or greater thing is really important for the Is It strategy. So that's the blue-red strategy. This payoff is totally fine. I think you will like playing this card just because that deck will need something like a 2 mana 1/3 just to block, and then eventually maybe it gets some damage in there. Will be fine, but you're not crazy excited about this card. You'll get them if you need them. So this is like a C-. It could be like a D as well, but I think that deck will actually be happy playing this. So like a C- for this guy. Next up, we have Scorpion Sentinel, which is 1 and a blue for a 1/4 artifact creature robot scorpion. It says as long as you control 7 or more lands, this creature gets +3/+0 until end of turn. I think this card is quite a bit better. It does a similar thing as the last one in the sense that it's a 2-mana like defensive creature, but this one, everyone's probably going to get to 7 lands. Like that just kind of happens. It's an artifact, which goes into a lot of the artifact strategies. This seems way better than the last one. So I'm going to give this a C. I would be totally fine playing this in a lot of my like defensive decks. Either you're playing like it tells you it wants to be in the Simic deck, like the town deck, which is all the lands and stuff. But you're going to get to 7 lands probably in this format. It feels like it's going to be a little bit on the slower side, and this one's going to help you get there. So C for the Scorpion Sentinel. Next up, we have Sage's Nuliths. It's 1 and a blue for an artifact equipment at common. It has Job Select. So this is a new ability. And it says when this equipment enters, create a 1/1 colorless hero creature token, then attach this to it. So I kind of think of these cards as creatures that just leave an equipment lying around. And this says, equipped creature gets +1/+0 and has, whenever this creature attacks, untap target attacking creature, and it's a cleric in addition to its other types. And then it equips for 3 mana. So this is a 2-mana 2/1 that when it attacks, it untaps target attacking creature. So it kind of gives itself vigilance. Is that super exciting? I don't know. Being able to untap things is totally fine. Being a cleric actually might matter in certain situations. But for the most part, it's like... fine. It is an artifact. I don't love this. I kind of think this might be like a D+. Like, it's hard. A lot of these cards are hard. I like the fact that it's an artifact. The job select thing is nice. The thing, you can move it around. All that stuff is there. But in the end, it just, I think it's just a 2-mana 2/1 in blue is not exactly what I'm looking for. The abilities are kind of strange on this one. It almost looks like a white card, so it's just strange. Next up, we have Dreams of Laguna. It's 1 and a blue for an instant at common. Surveil 1, then draw a card. And surveil is you look at the top card of your library, or you can put it into your graveyard if you want. And it also has flashback for a 3 and a blue, which means you can cast this from your graveyard for its flashback cost, and then you just exile it instead of putting it into your graveyard. So you get to play this card twice, which is huge. Flashback is very good, and we're always happy to have that in any set we can get it. And cards that have flashback perform much better than cards without it, obviously, because you get to play them twice. This card feels a lot like Think Twice, which is a very, very similar flashback card, except for this one lets you surveil, which is great. So with that being said, this is probably like this feels like a really nice bread and butter card. I think we're probably pretty happy with it. It's a C, trending on C+, I'm going to say, because this is important. The spells decks want this card. So the spells decks that want to play a bunch of spells, this helps you fuel it and is a cheap spell. But the spells decks that care about playing cards where you spend 4 more mana, the flashback cost is 4, and that counts for those abilities. So this triggers all your 4 mana being spent on non-creature spells thing for the flashback part. I think this card's going to be really important in those decks. It's a C+ because of that, and it fuels you, and you get to do all the stuff. So yeah, Dreams of Laguna is going to be, I think it's going to be pretty important. Next up, we have Ice Magic, which is 1 and a blue for an instant. This is a tiered spell, so it basically has kicker. You get to choose one of the additional costs. So you can either use Blizzard, which is you spend no extra mana. It says return target creature to its owner's hand. So this is just 2 mana, bounce something to their hand at instant speed. All right, we're pretty happy with that already. Blizzara, you can spend 2 extra mana, so 4 total, and it says target creature's owner puts it on their choice of the top or bottom of their library. All right, and that's also just the regular rate for that spell is 4 mana to do that. Instant speed, okay, sure, depending on where we are in the game, you get to kind of decide which one you're going to use. And then if you have tons of extra mana and you top this at the end of the game, you can play Blizzaga, which is an extra 6 mana, so this is 8 total. And it says target creature's owner shuffles it into their library. Yeah, so 8 mana, obviously way, way expensive, but you do just shuffle it in their library? I don't know. This seems like it's going to be good at a bunch of different points of the game. I like these tiered spells a lot. And this seems like it could easily be like the best blue common because it just does so many things. This is a B-. I like Ice Magic a ton. Yes. Next up, we have Kickern Merchant. Quickern Merchant. Sure. It's 2 and a blue for a 1/4 creature beast citizen at common. You can pay 1 and tap it to draw a card, then discard a card. So loot. Okay, that looting is good. Paying to loot, I don't like as much, but sure. Or you can spend 7 mana, tap it, and sacrifice this creature. Draw 3 cards, and this ability costs 1 less to activate for each town you control. Yeah, I like that one a lot better. So this is obviously, it looks like this is actually a secret gold card. This is a Simic card because the Simic deck is all about towns. If you can use that last ability to good effect, drawing 3 cards is fantastic. And if you can make the ability cost like 4 mana, 3 mana, like obviously if it costs nothing, that would be phenomenal. But 7 towns is a lot. But even just, paying 4 mana, sacrificing this, drawing 3 cards, I don't know. That seems pretty good. It's a good blocker. You get to loot. The downside is you have to pay for the loot, but I don't know. I like this card. It's like a C level card, and it's a C- probably, but then in the town deck, which is probably the only place you want it, it's like a C, just a regular C. It does some work, but in the end, like a C- kind of thing. That's what I'm looking at. Next up, we have Dragoon's Wyvern, which is a 2 and a blue for a 2/1 creature drake at common. It has flying. It says when this creature enters, create a 1/1 colorless hero creature token. Yeah, buddy. All right. This is awesome. This is a great limited card. Could be one of the best ones as well. This is like a C+ level card. Could be into the B's, depending on what's going on in the set. But like 3 mana cards that come in and make another piece of cardboard at 1/1 usually perform pretty well, especially when one of them has flying. This card looks really strong. Depending on how the set goes out, this is just generically good. It doesn't really synergize with a bunch of stuff. That's the only thing. So this set does seem like there's a lot of stuff going on with synergy and wanting to make sure that you get to do all your spells and stuff and all those things. And blue, not always cares about tokens or doesn't always care about going wide. So, we'll see if this would have been happier in like a white deck. But no, this card looks great. C+. I'm going to say that this is great until proven otherwise, and I don't really see it being bad. Next up, we have Combat Tutorial, which is 2 and a blue for a sorcery at common. Target player draws 2 cards. Put a +1/+1 counter on up to 1 target creature you control. All right, so this is just divination, and then you get to put a counter on a creature. I don't know if this is going to be good enough. Like, it seems fine. Divination in general is just not my favorite card, especially in this set where I'd rather spend 4 mana actually on something because it'll trigger a bunch of stuff. I'd rather play like 4 or 2 for my spells. 3 is kind of this awkward spot where it doesn't trigger all your abilities and things. And the +1/+1 counter stuff is important in some decks, but not really the blue ones. I'm going to give this like a D+. I don't really like Combat Training that much, or Combat Tutorial, apologies. Yeah, D+, probably won't play a lot of this card. Next up, we have Stuck in Summoner's Sanctum, which is 2 and a blue for an enchantment aura at common. It has flash. It says enchant artifact or creature. When this aura enters, tap enchanted permanent. An enchanted permanent doesn't untap during its controller's untap step, and its activated abilities can't be activated. Having flash on this is really nice. You do get to play hit the very last thing when you're waiting for your opponent's stuff to come down. I do like this card. 3 mana, it's a little expensive for not a real removal spell, and there is a sacrifice strategy in this format, so it's probably just like a C, like it's fine. We're not super stoked on this. It will do some work, flash helps, but, if there wasn't a sacrifice strategy, I think I'd like it a bit better, but there is, as there usually is. Next up, we have Root Turret, Rook Turret, which is 3 and a blue for a 3/3 artifact creature construct at common. It has flying, and it says whenever another artifact you control enters, you may draw a card. If you do, discard a card. This seems okay. 4 mana is a hard spot. And 4 mana that wants you to play more artifacts after it is another hard spot. You do get to loot, which is nice. It's a 4 mana 3/3 flyer. It's nothing super exciting. I don't know if my artifact decks really care to have this card. Am I really excited to have this card? No. So this is like a D. There's a lot of competition for that slot, and I'm not super stoked on this one. So D for the Rook Turret. Next up is Retrieve the Esper. It's 3 and a blue for a sorcery at common. It says create a 3/3 blue robot warrior artifact creature token. Then if this spell was cast from a graveyard, put 2 +1/+1 counters on that token, and then it has flashback for 6 mana. Yeah, I think this card's like a C. It's it's like all right. It does trigger all of your like 4 mana being spent on spells kind of thing. You get to make robots, and then you get to make like a 3/3 robot and then a 5/5 robot. You know, it's a good card in that deck because it makes a creature, but it's not a creature, so it does trigger all your other stuff. So it will be helpful. You just can't play too many of these because 4 mana for a 3/3 is just not good enough. So the first one could be okay, but I don't think you want to go too crazy on this. So it's just kind of like a C. It's like fine, but not phenomenal. Next up, we have Ice Flan, which is 4 blue for a 5/3 creature elemental ooze at common. It says when this creature enters, tap target artifact or creature an opponent controls, put a stun counter on it. It also has island cycling, which is fine. I've gone way down on these like land cycler cards. I used to think that they were awesome, and now they've just kind of proven to be bad. I don't know if they're going to be good in this set. I'm assuming that they're probably not going to be very good, and we're not going to want to waste space in our deck playing something clunky like this. It does, come down and stun something, so that can be helpful. This is like a D+. I hope I don't have to play Ice Flan. I just hope. Cool guy, though. I do like him in general. He looks cool. Next up, we have the uncommons. This is Stolen Uniform, which is a single blue for an instant. It says choose target creature you control and target equipment. Gain control of that equipment until end of turn. Attach it to the chosen creature. When you lose control of that equipment this turn, if it's attached to a creature you control, unattach it. Okay. This is a weird card. There's another card that's similar to this that's red that does the opposite, where you take a creature and then do the equipment thing. But basically what it's saying is that at instant speed, you get to steal an equipment and put it on your creature, or you get to choose an equipment, which could be yours, and you gain control of your own equipment. That doesn't really matter, but you attach it to one of your creatures for 1 blue mana at instant speed. That is a little bit more interesting because you don't have to unattach it if you already control the equipment. So this is like a card that helps you cheat on equip costs at instant speed. And instant speed attacking and then equipping something sounds pretty good because you get to choose depending on whether your opponent blocked or not. And if they didn't, then you get to do some crazy stuff with your equipment. I think this is a very niche card for only specific decks. In most every deck, this is just a D. Like, it's very bad, and you don't want to use a card to just move an equipment onto a thing, especially not using your opponents unless you're going to kill them. Like, it just doesn't really seem worth it unless they have a crazy equipment like the Buster Sword or something and get you to do a bunch of shit, like maybe. But you want to have this card in a deck that has good equipment that's expensive to put on creatures, and then this helps you. But ultimately, no. Yeah, I'm not excited if I'm playing Stolen Uniform. It would be really cool if there was a deck there where it was actually good, but I don't think there's going to be one. So, sorry. Next up is Sleep Magic. Very good. This is a single blue for an enchantment aura, enchant creature. When this aura enters, tap enchanted creature. Enchanted creature doesn't untap during its controller untap step. And when enchanted creature is dealt damage, sacrifice this aura. This card is much more interesting. The fact that it costs 1 mana is huge. That's really, really important. It doesn't have flash like the common one, but it just costs 1. 1 mana to tap something down. It could get sacrificed if your opponent's creature gets dealt damage, but there aren't very many ways for creatures to be dealt damage that like, if they're tapped, basically it's not going to get into combat damage is the thing. So someone would have to use an actual card to deal damage to it. And if your opponent's using like a fire magic or something to deal damage to their creature so that they can get rid of this, sure, like that's fine. I guess fire magic isn't a great example. Maybe lightning magic or something would be a better example for that. But yeah, I think that I like this one a lot more. It opens up a bunch of attacks very easily because it only costs 1. You get to double spell very easily. All of that wrapped up in, I like sleep magic, and I'm going to give this like a B-. I don't think the end clause of when it's dealt damage, sacrifice this is going to happen very often. I think that that's just kind of like flavor text almost, and that's rarely going to matter. And the fact that this is just a 1 mana tap your opponent's thing down is 1 mana. You just can't beat it. You can't beat 1 mana. Next up, we have Il Meg Pixie, which is 1 and a blue for a 2/1 creature fairy at uncommon with flying. It says whenever this creature attacks, you get to surveil 1. Cool. 2 mana 2/1 flyer, and you get to like surveil. You're like, there's definitely some sort of tempo-y type of deck where you get to sift through your cards and have a couple of these fairies and always draw kind of what you want. Make sure you don't draw lands, or do draw lands depending on what's going on. Yeah, I think this is cool. This is like a C+. I like little cards like this. It's a 2/1, but it's very aggressive because you get to get in the air. So yeah, sweet. Pixies get a C+. Next up, we have Ultros Obnoxious Octopus. 1 and a blue for a 2/1 legendary creature octopus at uncommon. It says whenever you cast a non-creature spell, if at least 4 mana was spent to cast it, tap target creature an opponent controls and put a stun counter on it. And whenever you cast a non-creature spell, if at least 8 mana was spent to cast it, put 8 +1/+1 counters on Ultros. 2 mana 2/1 that needs you to cast expensive cards. I think there's something here. I really wish this was a 2/2. Man, the 2/1 really, really hurts it. Being able to stun people stuff is cool. If you have a giant bomb, this becomes a huge creature. I think if you have a big bomb, you're happier to play this card. If you don't have a bomb and in the 4 mana slot thing, I don't know. I want this to be more of a defensive creature. It's too, like, its body is not what I'm looking for. This is like a D. I'm not super excited to play this card in those decks. I think it's just not going to be extremely good. Yeah, unfortunately, not the best. D for the octopus. Next up, we have Cargo Ship, which is 1 and a blue for a 2/3 artifact vehicle at uncommon. It has flying and vigilance. It's a mana dork. You can tap it for colorless mana and spend this mana only to cast an artifact spell or activate an ability of an artifact source. And it has crew 1. 2 mana accelerant is actually a pretty nice little sweet spot. So we're happy with that part. The actual vehicle-ness of it is totally fine. It is an artifact. It's a cheap artifact that helps you ramp out other artifacts. Yeah, if you have any heroes lying around, they can jump in the ship and make it a 2/3. I don't know. All that kind of comes together to, like, it's probably like a C-, where it's like, yeah, you'll play this card. It helps you ramp out some stuff. I don't think it's phenomenal. But yeah, C- for the Cargo Ship. You know what? Through that, I think because it's 2 mana, I'm going to give it a C, actually. I think it's a little bit better than I was saying, just because the ramp capabilities of this is just very nice for the artifact decks. And yeah, I guess C for Cargo Ship. Next up, we have Quistis Trep. All right, it's a 2 and a blue for a 2/2 legendary creature, human wizard at uncommon. It has an ability called Blue Magic. When Quistis enters, you may cast target instant or sorcery card from a graveyard, and mana of any type can be spent to cast that spell. If that spell will be put into a graveyard, exile it instead. All right, so this is like a Snapcaster Mage, except for it says you can cast spells from any graveyard. So that's pretty cool. 3 mana 2/2, cast a spell from any graveyard. Probably like a cheap removal spell. There aren't a ton of cheap removal spells, to be fair, but using your opponent's stuff, exiling your opponent's like flashback spell that they might be able to use later, recasting spells that you won't be able to cast from your graveyard. It basically draws you a card, and you can spend any mana colors, so that's really helpful. All in all, this is close to like a 5-drop. You want to play this and cast something that costs 2, or maybe it's at 6. You play this and cast something that costs 3. There's a really good card that was similar to this in Outlaws of Thunder Junction, except for you could like plot it so you get to cast it for free, and then that helped you cast some bigger, stronger spells. So I think this is probably like a C+, not really cracking into the B range, but really fun card, and will be pretty helpful. Next up, we have Thieves' Knife, which is 2 and a blue for an artifact equipment uncommon with job select. It says equipped creature gets +2/+1/+1 and has, whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. It is a rogue in addition to its other types, and it has equip for 4. Sweet. Thieves' Knife, a 3-mana 2/2 that saboteurs your opponent, and then you get to move it around to saboteur other things. 4 is very expensive to move around, but your opponent has to deal with this thing. Because if you can continually draw cards, it's going to be such a problem for them. And if you get this on a flyer somehow, that's going to be a huge problem for them. It's probably worth moving it, like the 4 mana to put this on a little flyer to draw cards. Probably worth it. And this card is great. C+ for the Thieves' Knife as well. Trending into, I'm going to give this a B-. I think I like the Thieves' Knife a lot. B- for the knife. Pretty sweet. I love little saboteur cards like this. Next up, we have Swallowed by Leviathan, which is 2 and a blue for an instant and uncommon. It says, choose target spell, surveil 2, then counter the chosen spell unless its controller pays 1 for each card in your graveyard. Okay. This is like, what is this, circular logic? This is sweet. It also helps you surveil. So you get to put cards into your graveyard. So, in a pinch, this is 3 mana. Your opponent has to pay 2 because you at least get to dump those surveilled cards into the yard if you want. This is really cool. I like this a lot. This is like a B- as well. Like super good in the self-mill decks, but also just can be used in every other deck as well. Adding the surveil to this card is really big. Like it a lot. Sweet. Swallowed by Leviathan. Really awesome. Next card is Eject. It's 3 and a blue for an instant and uncommon. This spell can't be countered, and return target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. Draw a card. Okay, cantrips. Removal spell cantrips that draw cards. Very good. It can't be countered, which does come up every once in a while. It triggers all your cards that care about the 4 mana value stuff. For your Izzet decks, for its spells, it draws cards, it bounces whatever you want, it's at instant speed. It does cost 4 mana, but I still think I'm going to give this a B because there's enough stuff going on with this card for it to be good. It synergizes really well. It replaces itself. Eject. Awesome. B for Eject. Next up, we have Ether, which is 3 and a blue for an artifact at uncommon. It says you can tap it and exile this artifact to add blue. When you cast an instant or sorcery spell this turn, copy that spell. You may choose new targets for the copy. So this also triggers all your non-creature 4 mana things as well. It helps you cast your next instant or sorcery spell that you get to then, copy. Hopefully that card is really big, or maybe it's another Eject. That would be really sweet. So yeah, there's some stuff going on here. It is an artifact, all that stuff kind of comes into it, but it is kind of expensive to do literally nothing. You need another instant or sorcery for this to do something, and it just costs so much to get it going. I'm just gonna give this a D. It'll probably shoot me in the foot at some point, and there are probably some crazy spells you get to do, but it is only instants and sorceries you get to copy, so there is a knock against that. There's a lot of great enchantments and stuff we want to be copying, and this doesn't let us do that. So D for Ether. Sorry, buddy. Next up, we have Realms Sketching, which is 2 blue for a sorcery at uncommon. It says create a token that's a copy of target artifact, creature, or land. Double blue for a token maker. It is a spell that costs 4 mana, so there's that. We do get to make tokens of stuff. It can be anything. It could be artifacts, could be lands. There's a lot of versatility here. it is at sorcery speed, and it is double blue, which are the big downsides to this card. I think it's probably close to like a C minus. I think you're really excited. Like, it looks like we're going to be making a bunch of dinosaurs with this card. But, you know, there's a lot of times where it's just not going to have great targets, and then just kind of is a bad card in your hand, or you're copying your like 1/4 and you're just like not stoked, or God forbid you're copying a land, which is even worse. So like 4 mana ramp, I guess you could. I'm not really happy with this card. Double blue, it really throws it back. So yeah, Realm Sketching is C minus. Next up, we have Side Quest Card Collection, which is 3 and a blue for an enchantment at uncommon. It says when this enchantment enters, draw 3 cards, then discard 2 cards. And then at the beginning of your end step, if 8 or more cards are in your graveyard, transform this enchantment into Magicked Card. What a name. Magicked Card. It's a 4/4 artifact vehicle with flying, and it has crew 1. Okay. Yeah, it's fine. Turning into a vehicle is okay. Drawing 3 and discarding 2 is annoying. I wish that I could just discard 1 for 4 mana. You need lots of cards in your graveyard, and then it doesn't even turn into a real creature. It just turns into a vehicle. I think overall this is probably like a D+. Like, I'm not stoked on this card. My opponents will have to play it and make me see that it's good, but I just don't really like it off the bat. It needs a lot of other stuff going on for it to do anything, so nope, D+. Next up, we have the Prima Vista, which is 4 and a blue for a 5/3 legendary artifact vehicle at uncommon. It has flying, and it says whenever you cast a non-creature spell, if at least 4 mana was spent to cast it, the Prima Vista becomes an artifact creature until end of turn and has crew 2. Sure. So this is a 5 mana payoff for your, non-creature spell things. You do get to basically dome your opponent for 5 whenever you spend 4 mana to do stuff. It helps in that deck because it's also a non-creature spell that is a creature at times. So that's really helpful, but you do have to get it down before you start smashing face with it. It's probably like a C. Maybe having one of these could be pretty good and really annoying. And it will probably close out the game if you're doing a bunch of flashback stuff. So I'm going to give this a C. I don't think I'm just jumping for joy to see this. In general, I think that entire archetype is kind of seems hard to do. And so cards like this that really go all in on it scare me, as opposed to cards like Eject, where it's like, this is just a card that's going to be helpful in your deck. So yeah, I don't know. This is like a C. This is fine. Next up, we have Summon Shiva, which is 3 blue for a 4/5 enchantment creature saga elemental at uncommon. It has 3 chapters. The first 2 are the same. It says Heavenly Strike. Tap target creature an opponent controls. Put a stun counter on it. And then the third chapter is Diamond Dust, where it says draw a card for each tapped creature your opponents control. Okay, tap your opponent's creatures, put stun counters on them, draw cards. I don't know. This seems pretty good. I think a 5 mana 4/5 where you get to buy some time, you get an attack in there, you get to draw some cards. All of this wraps up into, this is probably like a B. Like, I like this card. I like summons in general. I think they're pretty cool. There's a lot of fun enchantment-y stuff with your graveyard and doing a bunch of things like that. Yeah, this card seems great. I like it a lot. B for the summon. Next up, we have Valkyrie Aerial Unit, which is 5 blue for a 5/4 artifact creature construct at uncommon. It has affinity for artifacts. Oh, buddy. Okay. That's exciting. It has flying, and it says when this creature enters, you surveil 2. This is a really nice payoff for the artifact decks. Getting an affinity for artifacts card, it's a really big body. Even if this costs like 4 mana or 3 mana, 3 mana would be the point where I'm really excited. 2, I'm going crazy. 4 is like, it better just cost 4 mana total. So you need, 3 artifacts for this to actually be exciting? 3 could be a lot. So, there is a little bit of that going on. But a 5/4 flyer that surveils 2 when it enters, and then you just smash them in the face. Love it. Yeah, I'm going to give this like a B-. I'm pretty happy with this card. I like it. And I think that the artifact decks will be much better because of it. Next up, we have Travel the Overworld, which is 5 blue for a sorcery at uncommon. It has affinity for towns. So this is interesting. You get to draw 4 cards. That's what the actual card does. Affinity for towns is cool because it reminds you of the old affinity for artifacts, because there were so many artifact lands, and that was like, basically it makes it cheaper, plus you have mana to make it even cheaper. So I don't know, this card could be really strong. In the towns deck, this is what you want. Like, drawing 4 cards, like, with the possibility of it only costing 2 mana. I know we're going into Magical Christmas Land with this, but 2 mana, draw 4 cards, and then you get to play a threat. The fact that that's a possibility is huge. And yeah, you want your towns like at a premium. I think this is like a B level card. In any deck that's not the town deck, this is like a D. Do not play this card in any deck that's not the town deck. But if you are the town deck, this is going to be one of the big reasons why you are. And it is a solid B in that deck. So yeah, look out for it. If you see this card go around, it means the town deck is probably open, I would assume. All right, next up, we're going into the rares. We start off with a land. It's called Jadur, Aristocratic Capital. Yes, I did get it. It's a land town. It enters tapped and taps for blue. And it also has an adventure, which is called Overture, which is 4 blue for a sorcery adventurer. Target opponent mills half their library rounded down. And then it exiles, and you can play it as a land later. This one is bad. I don't like this one. It sounds really exciting. It's Traumatize. Overture is Traumatize, where you get to, mill your opponent's library for like half of it. It's a very splashy, exciting thing. The fact that it says opponent is huge, because you can't mill yourself, which would be a little bit more interesting in the set where you want to mill yourself. So you're locked into that, which sucks. And yeah, your opponent might care about having lots of cards in the graveyard, or the thing is, you can never actually kill your opponent with this card. You only mill half. It's never even like, 12. If you mill 12 of their cards, they could only have 10 cards, and then you just win the game. This card doesn't let you do that. You would need probably other mill synergies for this. The mill half your opponent's library is just not as strong as you think. So this is like a D trending to F. This, you know what? I'm just going to say this is an F. Don't put this card in your deck. It's just a tapped blue source. I guess it's an extra town, but you're not really going to want to play Overture. I don't think it's going to do anything. It's just going to be bad. So yeah, sorry. Don't do it. Bad card. Next up is Louis Sock's Sacrifice. All right, this goat guy. It's a single blue for an instant at rare. It says, as an additional cost to cast this spell. All right, sorry, I said goat. He could easily be an elf. I feel bad. I just saw the beard and just the way he looks. He kind of reminds me of a goat, but he doesn't have horns. So he's definitely an elf because his ears look like elf ears. So apologies. Sorry. Anyway, as an additional cost to cast this spell, you can sacrifice a legendary creature or pay 2. And it says counter target activated ability, triggered ability, or non-creature spell. Okay. Don't look at the first part of this card. This card costs 3 mana. It's a 3 mana card. 3 mana counter target non-creature spell. Countering activated abilities or triggered abilities. Okay, so you get to stop like your opponent's saga thing or transformation thing, or countering a non-creature spell for 3 mana is okay. Originally I had this down as an F, but you just have to think of this as a 3 mana card. It's probably just like a D. It's basically an expensive negate that has some flexibility, which is not exciting. So I don't like it very much. Yeah, not good in draft. D-. Like, you can put it in your deck, but don't pick it until it wheels, basically. Next up is Astrologician's Planisphere, which is 1 in a blue for an artifact equipment at rare. It has job select, and an equipped creature is a wizard in addition to its other types, and has whenever you cast a non-creature spell and whenever you draw your 3rd card each turn, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature, and it has Equip for 2. Equip for 2, that's very exciting. A 2 mana 1/1 that whenever you cast a non-creature spell, it gets a +1/+1 counter. And when you draw your 3rd card, that's just kind of like extra, I guess. That's not going to happen very often. I guess there are cards in this picture. You can see those little card things. That must be like the joke with like the card shop card that we didn't like very much, because that draws you 3 cards, so that helps this, you know, get a +1/+1 counter. But drawing your 3rd card every turn is a lot, I think. But anyway, yeah, this is kind of interesting. A big payoff for playing bonds, a lot of like little spells. So like the blue-black deck would be interested in this. Some blue-red decks might, but that cares about bigger spells, obviously. So all in all, I think this is probably like a C+. Like, it does do some stuff, and you can move things around, and it leaves tokens on creatures, which is nice, as opposed to other equipment where you like unattach the equipment and it's just like a tiny little dork again. This can be like, oh, we got a couple counters on this thing, we move it over, we get a couple counters on this thing. But ultimately, it needs a lot of other stuff. It doesn't give you anything like up front. It's just a 2-mana 1/1 that needs other things going on. So yeah, like a C+. Yeah, it's cool. Next up, we have Matoya, Archon Elder. It's 2 and a blue for a 1/4 legendary creature, human warlock at rare. It says whenever you scry or surveil, draw a card. Sure. Yeah, if you have this card in those pixies from earlier, the 2-mana 2/1s, that's very exciting. So instead of surveilling, you're just attacking and drawing cards. That would be sweet. Outside of that, I don't think we love this. So I think there's a deck that it could be great in. 3 and a 1/4 every once in a while. There are just random cards that let you scry and surveil. So yeah, I give it like a C-. It's fine. It's not a bomb. It's fine. Yeah, it's fine. Next up is Jill, Shiva's Dominant, which is 2 and a blue for a 2/2 legendary creature, human noble warrior at rare. It says when Jill enters, return up to 1 other target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. All right, so 3 and a 2/2 bounce something. Already great. Super stoked on that. Like, that's already something that we want to do. So I just, everything's like gravy from here on out. It has a activated ability, 3 blue, tap it, exile Jill, and transform it only as a sorcery. It turns into Shiva, Warden of Ice, which is a 4/5 legendary enchantment creature saga elemental with 3 chapters. The first 2 are the same. It says Mesmerize. Target creature can't be blocked this turn. Okay. And the 3rd chapter is Cold Snap. Tap all lands your opponents control, exile Shiva, then return it to the battlefield, and then you get to bounce something right away. Pretty sweet. The back part of, like, target creature can't be blocked this turn. You do one of your other creatures, they hit in. The next turn, you give it itself the thing, so you get to hit them for 4, and then you tapping all your opponent's lands on your turn. It doesn't give them stun counters, it just taps them. And then, so it just stops them from playing instants, I guess. And then you get to bounce something to your hand, to their hand is like, okay. I think just the front part of this is really exciting. Flipping it over to do a couple bits of damage, but just flipping it back to bounce something again is the most exciting part, I think. But Jill seems really good. This is like a B+. Like, it does great things. I'm happy with Jill for sure. And yeah, B+ for Jill. Cool card. I'm excited to play with Jill for sure. Next up, we have the Lunar Whale, which is 3 and a blue for a 3/5 legendary artifact vehicle at rare. It has flying. It says you may look at the top card of your library anytime. As long as the Lunar Whale attacked this turn, you may play the top card of your library, and it says Crew 1. Interesting. Another one of these cool vehicle things. This one has this other... So... We've seen enchantments like this before that let you look at the top of your library, or most of the time it's like green creatures let you do this, and it's like if it's a land or a creature, you get to play it. And this just says it has to attack, and then you get to play it, which is pretty interesting and does force you to be less defensive, which I think is a really interesting design. Crew 1 is huge. It goes a really long way on this card. So it's probably close to like... I don't know, a 3/5 is really nice. And being able to draw extra cards, essentially. Like, if you have lands, you get to just play them off the top, but you do have to attack with this. Yeah, I'm going to give like a B- for this card. I think it's pretty good. I would like to play it in my blue decks, and artifact decks specifically. Cool. Lunar Whale as a B-. A really cool design. Very different than what I'm used to. So I like that. Next up, we have Memories Returning. This is a pretty crazy card. So it's 2 blue for a sorcery at rare. It says reveal the top 5 cards of your library, put one of them into your hand, then choose an opponent. They put one of them on the bottom of your library, then you put one into your hand, then they put one on the bottom of your library, then you put the other into your hand. And it has flashback for 9 mana, 7 blue. So for 4 mana at sorcery speed, you get to draw 3 cards. You get to pick the first one, so you get the best card, then your opponent takes the second best card, you get the third best card, they take the fourth best card, and then you get the last card, whatever is remaining, probably a land or something. So 4 mana, draw 3 cards, but you get the best card and the third best card. Okay. It's a really interesting thing. I think it's a good draw spell. It's 4 mana, so it does trigger all the 4 mana things. And it draws you a lot of cards. You get to look at a lot. It's a new form of fact or fiction, kind of, where your opponent gets to help you choose things. Not as much of the fun game. I think it'll be pretty obvious when you see them, but yeah, Memories Returning. This is like a B. I like this a lot, actually. Yeah, drawing a bunch of cards. Yeah, pretty solid card. Like it. Next up, we have the Water Crystal. Not a solid card. It's a 2 blue for a legendary artifact rare. It says blue spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. If an opponent would mill 1 or more cards, they mill that many plus 4 instead. Okay. And then it says 4 blue, tap it. Each opponent mills cards equal to the number of cards in your hand. So even if you only have 1 card in your hand, it's plus 4. But you have to make sure you have 1 card in your hand or they don't mill anything. So they wouldn't mill 1 or more cards, they'd mill 0 cards. So make sure you have a card in your hand when you activate this. Another stinking crystal that's bad. You know what? I think this is literally just an F. I think that you should never play this card. It's not good. You're not really going to be milling your opponent very much. It just doesn't... It's really bad. I don't really like these crystals, and this is probably one of my least favorite ones. Sorry, Crystal, you can go live in the world with that Adventureland too. Like, blech. Nope. At least this could kill your opponent, but whatever. Next up, we have Summon Leviathan, which is 4 blue for a 6/6 enchantment creature, Sage Leviathan at rare. It has Ward 2, so a 6 mana 6/6 Ward 2. It has 3 chapters. The first one is return each creature that isn't a Kraken, Leviathan, Merfolk, Octopus, or Serpent to its owner's hand. And then the second 2 are the same. It says until end of turn, whenever a Kraken, Leviathan, Merfolk, Octopus, or Serpent attacks, you draw a card. You could build a whole deck around this, or you just have a Leviathan right here. 6 mana 6/6, you play it, bounce everything else. Next turn you attack, you get to draw a card, and then it blows up. I think all of that wraps into like an A+. That's good enough. Bouncing all your opponent's crap. Bouncing, I mean, it only does creatures, but it does bounce all the tokens as well. If you have more Krakens and Leviathans, it goes up and up. But 6 mana 6/6 that draws you a card and resets the board. Stoked. Like, it does bounce your own stuff, but you could try to build a deck where you wouldn't bounce too many of your things. So, yeah, I think there's enough of those cards lying around. Yeah, A. You know what? Let's just give this an A. I gave it an A+, but let's pull it back just one spot. Just because it doesn't stay around forever, and you're not going to for sure win the game. But it's definitely an A. It's very good. I would love this card. Next up, we have Edgar, King of Figaro, which is 4 blue for a 4/5 legendary creature, human artificer noble at rare. It says when Edgar enters, draw a card for each artifact you control. That's a lot, probably. And then there's another ability. It says 2-headed coin. The first time you flip 1 or more coins each turn, those coins come up heads and you win those flips. There's a land that flips coins as well that I don't think is very good. And I don't think you want to play these cards together with that. It just doesn't seem that exciting. The coin flip part, just forget about that. But 6 mana 4/5, draw a card for each artifact you control is a great card in the artifact decks. So this is either like a D awful 6 mana 4/5 that maybe draws you 1 card to B+ in like artifact decks where it comes down and draws you 4 or 5 cards. Just because you have all these equipment lying around, or you have treasure tokens or food tokens or just whatever else. So that's really good. The upside is huge, but if you don't have any artifacts, it's horrendous. And the coin flip part sucks. So Remember that this is closer to like a D, and then sometimes if you have enough artifacts, if you have like 10 or 12 artifacts in your deck, this is going to be just phenomenal. But yeah, so it's kind of that weird space. Yeah. The coin flippy thing, I don't know about that. All right, let's move over to the mythics. So we have Go-Go, Master of Mimicry, which is 2 and a blue for a 2/4 legendary creature wizard at mythic. You can spend XX and tap to copy target activated or triggered ability you control X times. You may choose new targets for the copies. This ability can't be copied and X can't be 0. So I think the joke here is that you want to be able to copy your summons triggered abilities so that you get multiple versions of it. That's kind of the biggest triggered ability is the summons. There's some equipment and stuff that care about that. Copying activated abilities is kind of hard because a lot of times you're going to have to tap mana to do it, so tapping extra mana as well is hard. Copying your second summons like chapter seems to be the real deal here. That's what you really want to be doing. But overall, am I super stoked on doing that? Like 2 mana, I get to copy it once. 4 mana, I copy it twice. 6 mana, I copy it 3 times. It could be worth it. It is telegraphed, and this card does literally nothing by itself. It's a 3 mana 2/4. This is like a D level card that could do something crazy, but I'm going to err on the side of this card's bad. Don't put it in your deck. Or I really hope I don't have to play this card. It might blow up and be really cool, but I'm going to let other people do that, and I will not be doing that. That's the plan. All right, last card is a Ishtola Rule, which is 4 blue for a 3/5 legendary creature cat druid at mythic. It says, at the beginning of your end step, exile target creature you control, then return it to the battlefield under its owner's control. Then, if it's the first end step of the turn, there is an additional end step after this step. What? Okay, so this is a 6 mana 3/5 that gives you 2 end steps, and you also get to blink something for both of those end steps. So you get to blink 2 things every turn, and if you have other end step stuff, you get to... I don't know if there's other end step stuff that really cares about doing it multiple times. So that's kind of weird. But basically, 6 mana 3/5 at the end of your turn, you get to blink something, and then you get a second end of your turn where you blink something again. Or flicker, I guess. You flicker it because it comes back immediately. Sure. So you really want a lot of ETBs with this. It does only work with creatures, so you don't get to do job select stuff and make a bunch of tokens. It resets your sagas, your summon creatures, so that's cool. That might be one of the best things you can do with it, where, you know, they're on chapter 2 and they're going to die at your upkeep. You just flicker it and you get a chapter 1 again, and then you flicker it again and get another chapter 1. That's cool. And then as long as this is around, you just get to keep that card. All right, I like that a lot. Sure. Okay, so if you have a bunch of sagas, this is like a B+. Like, it seems pretty crazy. It's not an A because it doesn't do anything by itself. Like, say, flickering itself doesn't do anything. So you need ETB somethings, but there's a bunch of cards like that. So, yeah, okay. If you don't have any of that stuff, it's probably closer to like a D-. Like, it's pretty bad if you don't have ETBs, but these days most creatures do have ETBs, so it's probably closer to like a B+. You just have to build your deck around it, and you have to be very conscious of what you're doing. But really weird card, and I'm sure there's some funky things with end steps. You get to do some extra end steppy stuff. So keep an eye out for those types of things, but ultimately just want to, if you get this with Jill and you just get to bounce all their stuff, goodbye. That's amazing. That's the dream right there, is Ishtola and Jill together. I think that's what you want. But anyway, folks, that is all the blue cards for the Final Fantasy set. Tell me what you think in the comments below, whether I was right or wrong about certain things. I was too high or too low, or what your favorite rares are, or any of that stuff. I really appreciate it. Check out all the other videos. There's one for every color, as well as the multicolor, the color list, the bonus sheet. And yeah, thank you all for watching. It means a lot to me. And yeah, I will see you all next time. Okay, bye.